Tonight, when the sun goes down, you will flip a switch. Light floods a room. You will not think about it even once. But for 99.9% of human history, that switch simply did not exist. When the sun went down, the world went dark. Completely dark. Modern humans almost never experience real darkness. But for over 300,000 years, every single one of your ancestors spent half their life in near total darkness. They did not even have candles for most of that time. Just a black sky above, the stars, and whatever small fire they could manage to keep alive. So what did your ancestors actually do for all those hours in the dark? The answer changes everything we think we know about sleep and what it means to be human. Let us start with fire, because fire is the single reason any of this was possible at all for our species. The earliest solid evidence of humans controlling fire comes from Wonderwork Cave in South Africa, roughly 1 million years ago. But fire did not just keep early humans warm at night. Fire completely restructured the entire human day and night rhythm. Before fire, our ancestors were like every other primate. When the sun went down, you climbed a tree or found shelter and stayed completely still until dawn. Moving at night meant becoming food. Our eyes are terrible in the dark compared to the predators that hunted us. Leopards, hyenas, wolves all saw just fine. Fire changed that equation overnight. Literally, a campfire creates a circle of safety roughly 30 feet in diameter. Inside, that circle predators won't come. Fire suddenly added 2 to 4 usable hours to every single day. Over thousands of generations, those extra hours changed our species completely. In 2014, anthropologist Polly Wiesner published a landmark study. She spent years recording conversations among the Bushmen of the Kalahari Desert. During the day, 80% of their conversations were practical. Who is hunting where, which plants are ready, logistics, economic negotiations. Daytime talk was just work. But at night around the fire, the entire character of conversation changed completely. At night, 81% of conversations were stories. Tales of people in distant places, adventures, myths about the origin of the world, jokes that made the whole camp laugh at once. Wiesner argued this fireside conversation is where human culture was born. The campfire was the original theater, the original classroom, the original church. It is where humans learn to think beyond the immediate present and imagine things that do not exist yet. The campfire is where we became us. But the night was not only about stories around the fire. Something else was happening that scientists only rediscovered in the last 30 years. You were not designed to sleep the way you sleep right now. In 2001, historian Roger Kirch published a paper that changed sleep science completely. He spent 16 years digging through historical records. Prayer books from the 1400s, court records, diaries, medical texts, letters from ordinary people. And he found something nobody expected. Over 500 references spanning centuries all mention the exact same thing. First sleep and second sleep. Before the industrial age, people did not sleep in one continuous block. They went to bed shortly after sunset and slept for 4 hours. Then they woke up. They stayed awake for 1 to 2 hours in the middle of the night. Then they went back to sleep for another 4 hours until dawn. This was completely normal. This was not insomnia. This was normal. This is how every human on the planet slept for thousands of years before artificial light. What did people do during that wakeful hour in the middle of the night? A 16th century French physician said couples conceived children during this window. They did it better. People visited neighbors in the middle of the night. They interpreted their dreams while they were still fresh. They wrote. They simply lay in the dark and thought. A doctor's manual from the 1500s advised patients that the best time to study and reflect was during the watch, the quiet hours between first and second sleep. Historians have been reading these references for centuries but kept mistranslating first sleep as something else. The assumption was so deep they could not see it. The assumption was so embedded that translators literally mistranslated ancient Greek and medieval Latin to make it fit their own modern experience of sleep. In 1992, psychiatrist Thomas, at the National Institute of Mental Health, ran a bold experiment. He removed all artificial light from volunteers' lives for 1 month. For 1 month, the volunteers experienced 14 hours of darkness every night, just as our ancestors would have before fire extended the evening hours. Within just a few weeks, every single participant settled into the exact same pattern, without being told. For hours of sleep, then waking up then 4 more hours. Nobody told them to do this. Nobody suggested it. Their bodies just did it, as if some ancient program had been waiting inside them for centuries. We measured their hormone levels during that wakeful period and found something remarkable. Their brains were producing elevated levels of prolactin. Prolactin is the same hormone released during meditation and after orgasm. The participants described feeling peaceful, reflective, almost meditative. Unlike any normal state, it was not just a gap in sleep. It was its own distinct state of human consciousness, one that most modern humans have never experienced even once. So what killed it? The answer is simpler than you would think. Light. Just light. That is the entire answer. In the 1600s, cities began installing street lamps. Paris was one of the first under Louis XIV, who wanted to reduce crime. The night became navigable. Then came cheaper candles. Then gas lamps in the 1800s. Then in 1879, Thomas Edison commercialized the electric light bulb. Within a generation, the night was gone. The word curfew comes from the French couvre-feu. It literally means cover fire. In medieval towns, a bell would ring at night, signaling everyone to cover their fires. Night was when you slept. Night was when you were vulnerable. For most of history, being out at night was suspicious. Night belonged to criminals and the supernatural. In many medieval European cities, walking outside after dark without a lantern was literally illegal. People feared the night in a way that is almost impossible for us to understand today. And then we conquered the night. We flooded it with light. We thought that was progress. But here's what we actually lost. Modern humans are exposed to artificial light, an average of 7 to 8 hours after sunset every single night. Your body does not know the difference between a bulb and the sun. Blue light from screens suppresses your melatonin production. When light hits your retina at 11 p.m., your brain interprets it as daytime and delays sleep completely. It fragments your sleep. It disrupts the circadian rhythm that evolved over millions of years. All because you wanted to scroll through your phone for 20 more minutes. Researchers found that people who go camping for just 1 week with no artificial light have their melatonin cycles reset by nearly 2 full hours. Their bodies began producing melatonin at sunset instead of hours after it. That is all it takes for 300,000 years of biological programming to come back. We did not just change when we sleep. We eliminated an entire phase of human consciousness. That quiet, reflective state between first and second sleep is gone for most people. Instead, we have insomnia, and we treat it like a malfunction. But what if it is not a disorder at all? What if your body is just remembering what it was built to do? What if waking up at 2 a.m. and lying there in the dark is not your body malfunctioning? What if it is your body remembering something it knew for 300,000 years? For 300,000 years, your ancestors gathered around fires and told stories that built entire civilizations. That is what the night hours were actually for. They slept in 2 phases with a window of quiet reflection in between. They lived in darkness, so complete the Milky Way was not something you drove to see. It was just the sky. Every night when they woke between first and second sleep, they lay in silence and thought about their lives, their dreams, and the world they would wake up to. We traded all of that for a light switch. And most of us never even knew there was something to lose. The campfire is gone. The stories happen on screens now. The second sleep never comes. The Milky Way is invisible from most cities, and we call this civilized. But here is what is interesting. The ancient program is still in you. It never left. It is just buried under electric light and notification sounds and one more episode. Tonight when the sun goes down, you will flip that switch again. But maybe now you will think twice. Maybe for 1 second you will know what you are turning on. 300,000 years of darkness. 300,000 years of fire stories and 2-phase sleep and that quiet reflective hour between them. 200 years of electric light. Flip, and every night at 2 a.m. when you wake up and cannot get back to sleep, you are not broken. You are just old. 300,000 years old. The fire kept the predators away. The stories built the civilizations. The darkness held something we are only now beginning to understand we lost.